The first thing needed to find a lek is a GPS with the coordinates of the targeted lek. If you do not have one, we will try to provide a GPS or pair you with somebody that does. All participants on this project will work in pairs. When the GPS indicates you're within about 400 meters or a quarter mile, it is a good time to start searching with binoculars to find the lek. The distance at which you can see the lek will depend on the topography, the vegetation, and your observation skills. This video is about how to find a lek and prepare for a successful morning counting. It is very easy to scare grouse off the lek before you have counted them. Sage grouse will flush if you get too close, and then you will be unable to obtain your goal of counting the lek. Because leks are counted within the first 2 hours of daylight, it is important you work quickly without flushing the lek. A good technique to avoid flushing the lek prematurely is to scan where you think the lek is based on the GPS. Walk 25 steps or so and then scan again with your binoculars as your vantage point changes. Repeat until you have found the lek. If you walk and scan too fast, you risk flushing the lek before you see the birds. If you walk and scan too slow, you might not get to all the leks you hope to during the first 2 hours of the day. Once you have found grouse, it is important to determine where all the birds are located and the best vantage point to count from. A good skill is to define in your mind the lek area and make use of natural landmarks. These two grouse are between two dead trees. This might be helpful later if we decide to walk around the grouse and get a vantage point from above them, or it will help us remember where the lek is when we return to count it on another day. Typically, it is best to count a lek from a vantage point above the lek. However, that is not always feasible. Let's get back to determining where the lek is located. We were watching two birds, but they weren't displaying. Most of the leks we will be counting will have 5 to 20 grouse displaying on the lek. We scan the area with a binocs, and now that we have found some birds, we don't want to move yet for fear of flushing the lek. Let's find some more birds and determine where the lek is. Scanning to the right of where we initially saw birds, we find a grouse near a live juniper. In the same area are another 6 grouse, 4 in the middle of the rocks, and 2 up on the rim. The lek is most likely to be where the highest concentration of grouse are located, in this case on the right of the live junipers. The 2 grouse that were located on the left were walking to the right, probably toward the lek. This will help us define the lek area in our mind. At this point, we could attempt to count the lek, but given that there were 2 grouse on the rock rim, there may be more grouse above that we cannot see because of our vantage point. I want to circle around the lek to change my vantage point without flushing the grouse. To the left are junipers. Circling to the right is more open. I think I'll go to the left and use the junipers to hide from the grouse. As I circle to the left through the junipers, I keep my eye on where I think the lek is as my vantage point changes while circling the lek. Using my GPS and landmarks, I continue to move through the junipers until I'm above the lek. The lek is on the other side of those junipers. Now that I'm on the other side of the lek, the dead junipers are now on my right. Finishing my circle around the lek and making my final approach, I see if I can improve my vantage point from above. I near the junipers separating me from the lek, and it becomes apparent there's too much of a drop-off to view the lek from above. This lek will need to be counted from below. Now I know how to approach the lek for next time. Now, hopefully you have a better idea how to find a lek and determine your vantage point for counting the lek. The next video will explain in more detail the methods and protocol for counting a lek.